When you hear the words business strategy, what pops into your head? Probably a bunch of corporate jargon, right? Maybe some super complicated charts. But what if it's not that complicated? What if strategy is really just a way to think clearly and make smart decisions? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into. We're opening up the Strategist Toolkit, and I'm going to show you how it all works.
And look, this is not some new trendy business idea. We're kicking things off with Sun Tzu, who wrote The Art of War more than 2,000 years ago. He knew that strategy is absolutely fundamental. It's the Tao of survival or extinction. Whether you're on an ancient battlefield or in a modern boardroom, the stakes are always high.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to nail down what strategy even is. Then, we'll get into the right mindset, how to actually think like a strategist. After that, I'll hand you two incredibly powerful tools, one for looking outward at the world and one for looking inward at yourself. And finally, we'll put the whole shebang together into one complete toolkit.
All right, let's jump right in. Part 1. What on earth is business strategy? Before we can start using any tools, we've got to be on the same page about what it is we're trying to build. Let's clear up the confusion. Okay, here's a classic definition from a guy named Alfred D. Chandler Jr. Now, notice what this is all about. It's totally inward-looking, right? It's about your goals, your plans, and your resources, your money, your people, your time. It's about what's happening inside your own four walls. It's a huge piece of the puzzle, but it's only half of it. And here's the other half of the story, from the absolute legend Michael Porter. He says, hey, it's not just about your internal plan. Strategy is about the fit. It's about how your company's strengths and weaknesses match up with the opportunities and threats out there in the real world. You see, real strategy happens right where those two things meet, the view looking in and the view looking out.
So if that's what strategy is, how do you actually do it? How do you think like a strategist? Well, that brings us to the secret weapon, the magic trick that all the best consultants use. It's a process called issue analysis. Now, this is so important. Great strategists do not start with answers. They start by asking better questions. Issue analysis is just a fancy term for a simple idea. Take a big, messy, confusing problem and break it down into a bunch of smaller, sharper questions that you can actually find the answers to.
And this slide just nails the difference. Asking, what should our strategy be, is useless. It's way too big, it's vague, it's like trying to boil the ocean. But asking, should we try to grow by buying company XYZ? Now that is a sharp question. You can form a hypothesis, you can go find data, and you can prove it right or wrong. It gives you a clear target to aim at.
And it's a very clear step-by-step process. You start with a situational analysis, which is really just about getting the facts straight, getting the lay of the land. Then you do the issue breakdown, where you create that list of sharp, answerable questions. For each of those, you make a hypothesis, which is just your best educated guess for the answer. And finally, you build a project plan to figure out how you're going to test those guesses. It's a simple, powerful loop. Question, guess, and prove. Okay, we've got the mindset down. Now it's time to grab our tools. The first one we're going to pull out of the toolkit is for looking outward. It's another brilliant idea from Michael Porter called the 5 Forces. And I want you to think of this as your strategic telescope. It helps you get a super clear picture of the whole competitive world around you. Right at the heart of the model is the intensity of rivalry. This is all about how tough the fight is between the companies that are already in the market. Are they in a bloody price war, slashing each other's throats? Or is it more of a friendly competition? This one force pretty much sets the tone for the entire industry.
Next up, you've got these vertical pressures, the squeeze from above and below. From above, you have the bargaining power of suppliers. If you only have 1 or 2 suppliers for a critical part, what happens? They can jack up their prices and squeeze your profits. And from below, you've got the bargaining power of buyers. If your customers have tons of other options, they can demand lower prices or more features, squeezing your profits from the other direction.
Then you've got to worry about threats coming in from the sides. First is the threat of new entrants. Basically, how easy is it for someone new to set up shop and start competing with you? And finally, there's the threat of substitutes. This one's sneaky. Could a totally different kind of product come along and solve your customer's problem in a new way, making your entire industry irrelevant? So you see, these 5 forces together give you a map of the battlefield. They show you where the dangers are and help you find a safe spot to build your fortress. So, we've used our telescope to look out at the world. Now it's time to put that down, pick up the mirror, and take a good, hard look inward. And for that, we're going to use another amazing framework from Michael Porter called value chain analysis.
The value chain starts with what are called primary activities. The easiest way to think about this is the journey your product or service takes to get to the customer. It starts with inbound logistics, getting all your stuff, then operations, turning that stuff into a product, then distribution, getting it out the door, marketing and sales, getting people to buy it, and finally service, helping them out after they've bought it. This is the main assembly line where you create value.
But of course, none of that can happen on its own. All those primary activities are held up by support activities. This is the foundation of the whole company. We're talking about the basic infrastructure, the HR team that hires amazing people, the R&D folks creating cool new tech, and the procurement team getting the best deals. They might not be on the front lines, but without them, the whole thing falls apart.
So, why do we go through all this trouble of mapping things out? Well, the goal is to look at every single step in that chain and ask some simple questions. Where do we actually create value for our customers? Where are our costs coming from? And most importantly, where in this entire chain can we do something better, or faster, or cheaper than our competitors? That's where you find your competitive advantage. All right, it's time for our final section. Let's put all of these pieces together. We have our mindset, thinking with issue analysis. We've got our telescope for looking out, and we've got our mirror for looking in. So how do they all combine into one seamless, powerful process?
This little table sums it up perfectly. Porter's 5 forces is all about looking externally to answer one key question. Is this a good industry to be in? That's our telescope. Then value chain analysis is about looking internally to answer how are we specifically built to win in that industry? And that, of course, is our mirror. You absolutely need both.
And here it is, the whole process in 4 simple steps. Step 1, ask. Start by defining your big overriding question using issue analysis. Step 2, look out. Grab your telescope, Porter's 5 forces, and map out that competitive battlefield. Step 3, look in. Pick up your mirror, the value chain, and get a really clear picture of your unique strengths. And finally, step 4, align. This is where the magic happens. You create a strategy that perfectly aligns your internal strengths with the best external opportunities you just discovered.
And if there's one thing I really want you to take away from all this, it's this idea right here. Strategy is not some dusty document that sits on a shelf. It's not a single answer. It's a living, breathing process. It's a structured way of always discovering the best way to win in a world that is constantly changing.
So I'll just leave you with this one last thought. Think about your own world, your business, your career, maybe even a personal project. What is the one big, overriding question that you really need to answer right now? Start there. Use these tools and you'll be amazed at the clarity you find.